Well, that was a really entertaining game. Great product by the NBA right there. Not a lot of stoppages, not a lot of reviewing. Like, the last minute didn't take 20 minutes. That was really good. That was like a really fun game to watch. I only watched the second half, so don't get too upset. But it was a fun second half and overtime to watch. So the Spurs take it 146-143 in overtime. DeMar DeRozan has just an awesome game, 37 points, 10 assists, has the game winner in regulation go in and out. That shit was halfway down, and was kind of in a duel with Bradley Beal, who was just absolutely unstoppable until he flops and then pouts and then gives the Spurs a point, which like low key kind of led to them winning the game. But Beal still finished with 45, took 37 shots, such a shit ton of fucking shots, my god. But hey, 45 points, 45 points. So the Spurs right now are sitting half game out of the 8th spot, and with Portland kind of falling, Memphis has been hovering around 500 all year. It's not out of the question for San Antonio to kind of jump up into that 7th spot, or I mean, if Dallas doesn't, keep winning. Like if something happens with Dallas, which might, Kristaps just rolled his ankle, maybe the Spurs can hop up to 6th. It's a free for all out in the West right now. It's tight out there. But I kind of want to look a little bit ahead of this season because let's be honest, the San Antonio Spurs this year at best are probably a first round out. I mean, like if I really stretch my imagination, it's like okay, maybe their first round opponent like gets hurt or something and they make it to the second round. But that's like, come on, they're not a title contender right now. They're a fringe playoff team. So looking forward to next year, they have the most cap room in the entire league. Now, DeRozan is a free agent, and that is partly why they have so much cap room coming up. And I believe Rudy Gay and Patty Mills are also coming off the books. The big question is, should they re-sign him? Now, I think if San Antonio can get a sign and trade and get a draft pick back or get a young player back for DeMar, it's going to suck because this team will be a lot worse next year, but they should do that. I don't think this team is going anywhere as currently constructed. DeMar is great, but his timeline is not on the timeline of guys like Keldon Johnson, DeJounte, Derek White, Lonnie, all the young guys that San Antonio has. He's just not. He's 31 years old. He's not getting any younger, and this is probably going to be his last big contract he gets. And he deserves it, man. Like he's been awesome. These last 2 seasons, DeMar's been the best player on this team. He's clutch. He seems to be a good locker room guy. He can initiate and get his own shot whenever he wants. So like any team that needs a closer, like here you go. Like here's a guy who can get you a shot in the half court at absolutely any time and can pass. Has become a great passer. So if San Antonio can't force a sign and trade with somebody, you have to re-sign him at that point, because at that point you can't lose the asset for nothing. This was the big asset they got for the Kawhi Leonard trade. They can't just let that walk and just be gone, an asset. Now, real quick on some of the young guys and just their progression, because I've talked about them before on the channel, but DeJounte has had himself a fantastic year. This game in particular, he had 25 points on good splits and 17 rebounds and 5 assists, only 1 turnover. Oh, and 3 steals. Had a super clutch steal down the stretch of this game that, again, might have saved the game. But DeJounte's been great all year. He's averaging 15.5 points. His true shooting's not great. He's not necessarily an efficient scorer, but he's a guy that can score in multiple different ways. He can knock down free throws. He's an 80% free throw shooter. And then, he gives you 7 rebounds at the point guard spot, 5 assists, low turnover guy, and a bunch of steals. DeJounte's great. He is, quick math, he's 24 years old, going to be 25 at the end of this year. So he still has room to improve. Keldon Johnson, his hot start, he was killing it in the beginning of the year. And I was really excited as a Spurs fan. I was like, we got a steal. Like, this guy is going to be great, potential all-star. He still does have that potential. He's 21 years old. He's really young, and he's been playing really well as of late. So, he's cool. He needs to work on his jump shot. He does not have a consistent jumper. He has too much arc on his shot. His base is kind of funky. Like, Chip England needs to get working on him. And I think that would just really open up the entire starting lineup for San Antonio too, because the guys they start right now, literally, they have one 3-point shooter, Derek White. That's it. And tonight, Derek didn't even play well. Tonight, the San Antonio Spurs starting lineup made a total of 0 3-pointers. Yeah, 0 3-pointers, scored 146 points in 2021. That's a crazy stat, yo. Now, kind of in contrast, their opponent tonight, Washington, is in a similar boat. I don't think this team's going anywhere either. They're going to be in the play-in most likely, and I think they could win their play-in. I think they could get like the 8th seed and actually like be in the real playoffs. Westbrook's been great lately. Bradley Beal is always awesome. Rui's cool. Davis Bertans he's the Latvian laser. That's what he does. But similar to San Antonio, this team doesn't really have a young guy who's going to be like a franchise player, most likely. And if they thought they did, they're not developing him. Because when Denny Avdia was healthy, he was just a corner 3-point shooter for them. Like, they didn't even put him on ball. And then like the occasional times he did get on ball when like somebody was hurt or injured or something, you're like, wow, holy shit, Denny's really good. And you forget that he was drafted like as a playmaker, as this 6'9" guard, for lack of a better terms, who can kind of do everything. And his role's been reduced to spot-up shooter, which is probably like his worst skill coming out of the draft. So I don't know what they're doing with Denny. If they thought Denny was so good, they'd probably give him more touches, So I guess they don't think Denny's that good. Rui Hachimura is the only other guy that you would kind of consider on this team. And he's good too, he's cool, but I think he just has role player written all over him. He's not necessarily an explosive athlete, he's not necessarily an explosive scorer or defender. He's just kind of solid in all areas, and he's big, he's like 6'10", 6'11", long arms, so he has good measurables. So just as San Antonio needs to get something for DeMar, the Wizards need to get something for Westbrook and Beal. They're just delaying the inevitable. I don't think this is going to work in the long term. It's just like this weird attempt to try to get into the playoffs in a year where you can only have stadiums at like half capacity. It's like, so it's not even a money grab. It's strange. It's just delaying the inevitable. It's an organization that is in denial of what they are and what they will be in the future.